Hello and welcome back to Valkenswaard in the Netherlands for the second race of the day in the MX2 category. My name is Paul Malin, and as you can see, the Dutch crowd here tightly packed into this Euro circuit because they are hoping to witness an overall victory from their young 15-year-old sensation, winner of race 1, Jeffrey Herlings on the Red Bull KTM. That first race was won by Herlings, second was Roczen, third was Simpson, fourth was Stephen Frossard, fifth was Arnold Tonus, and Christophe Charlier on the Monster Energy Garibaldi Yamaha was sixth. From Joel Roulant's Marvin Musquin, our championship leader, who found himself having to start from pretty much the centre of the gate, having qualified in 21st yesterday in the heat race. But as he was trying to make his way through the pack, we noticed that there was some green fencing caught in that rear brake disc. I spoke to Yannick Cavella, his team manager, just moments before the riders went down to the grid before we came back on air, and he confirmed that that was the reason. He couldn't go for 20 minutes without a rear brake, so it was just damage limitation for him, and he was just able to salvage those 13 points in the process. But as you can see, the MX2 riders are down on the grid. They're getting ready to go. On pole position in qualification yesterday was Ken Roczen from Sean Simpson, Stephen Frossard, Dennis Verbruggen was 4th, Osborne was 5th, Arnold Tonus was 6th, Jake Nichols was 7th. This is in the qualifying race yesterday. Harry Kulas from Finland was in 8th, Joel Roulants was 9th, and Christophe Charlier was 10th. Jeffrey Herlings qualified 14th, so he's going to be coming from pretty much middle of the gate, 13, 14 gates over, depending on where, if everybody just dropped in as per their qualifying. So he took a whole shot from there in the first race, so let's see if he can do it again in this second moto. Excuse me. And just behind him was Alexander Tonkov. Clario making his return back from injury. He qualified in 16th position and actually picked up points as well in 12th as well. So Clario on the Ritchie Yamaha, he's going to be looking to try and get some more points on the board. Jeremy van Horebeek qualified in 19th. He had a bad start in the first race. He actually got back to 11th, but he said Marvin Musquin came across everybody and took him out going into turn. Whoa, and that looked like one of the Garibaldi Yamaha riders who just got caught there. Nichols up the inside. Number 45, and it's Nichols with the whole shot from 335. Dennis Verbruggen, and Verbruggen gets bounced off of the man from Ipswich. So Jake Nichols leads his first ever MX2 Motocross Grand Prix. He comes under the Tecker Bridge on that Red Bull HM Plant KTM machine. He's got Herlings just behind him in second position, and that's either Kulas or Charlier. If it's Charlier, it's 4:30. If it's Kulas, it's 1:51 in that third position. Then we've got, well, there is Simpson around the outside, number 11. Marvin Musquin's had a good start as well. So everybody pretty much where they need to be for us to get a good race here. But look at Nichols being pressured already by the number 111, Jeffrey Herlings. The guys had a sighting lap just a moment ago. And you can see there's water gone down on the track in between the MX1 race 1 and this second MX2 race. So going to be quite tricky, the conditions in the opening part of this race. And Nichols just getting bounced through that gnarly wave section through there, and he just got caught short there, and that was enough to allow 111 Jeffrey Herlings through around the outside. He has the best line for that next left, and once again Jeffrey Herlings from Geldrop. He was born in Geldrop, just not far away from here, lives about an hour from here now, but he now leads just like he did in race 1, and you've got to say conditions are going to be absolutely perfect for this young kid. Charlier was there in third position as they came through the first split, number 430 on the Garibaldi Yamaha there. Then it is Verbruggen, then Musquin or Simpson. There's Roczen in there. There's one of the CLS Kawasaki's as well. That was either Van Horebeek or Stephen Frossard. I think probably Stephen Frossard actually. So then, there's Roczen making a move as well on that yellow Tecker Suzuki as they come over the finish line then to complete what would be a lap. It's Jeffrey Herlings there at 111 on the Red Bull KTM from Jake Nichols on the Red Bull HM Plant UK KTM, number 45 in second. Christophe Charlier on the Garibaldi Yamaha is in third position. Then it was Marvin Musquin, number 1 on the second of the Red Bull KTMs. He's in fourth place. Then we've got Dennis Verbruggen on the Nistan JM Racing KTM in fifth. Ken Roczen on the Tecker Europe Suzuki in sixth. Simpson is in seventh. Arnold Tonus is eighth. As Charlier looking to make a move around Jake Nichols here. Nichols having to ride defensive at the moment, just hitting a few big holes there going into that right-hander at the bottom of the hill. So Nichols can have his work cut out here because the man behind him, the European champion from 2009, Christophe Charlier, young Frenchman, riding for an Italian team, guided last year to that European title by a three-time World MX3 Motocross champion Yves Demarié, who we heard from in the first race. As Roczen goes up the inside of Dennis Verbruggen at the top of the hill. So suddenly the number 94 there on that yellow Suzuki, that Tekka Europe Suzuki, Ken Roczen making a move. Oh, was that up the inside of Marvin Musquin? I think it was. So Musquin then and Roczen, this is how it was yesterday for pretty much the whole of the final 2 laps in the qualifying heat before Marvin Musquin decided to take a leap of faith and out-jump the 15-year-old German who turns 16 next week. But Roczen is certainly in a good position at the moment, trying to find his way around Christophe Charlier. Faces of the jumps are being fixed. Big tabletop coming down towards the final corner then. There's Roczen, just over the Dragon's back there, and he has to take avoiding action. Goes round the outside of Charlier, gets good drive though on that Suzuki. Not going to get alongside the Yamaha rider though. So the first real lap completed then, and 153.3 for Jeffrey Herlings, 157 for Jake Nichols, Christophe Charlier, 55 for Roczen in 4th position. Charlier looks over his shoulder and sees Roczen there, and Roczen easily nudging the young Frenchman aside, goes high and wide in turn 2, gets the slingshot, heads down towards the Tekka Bridge to get the maximum momentum through the wave section there to try and get alongside Jake Nichols on that HM Plant KTM, but it's not going to happen in turn 3. But Jake Nichols was a little bit tentative, coming out of this left into the next right, up through turn 5. Nichols going for those big holes there, and it's slowing him down just a little bit. And Roczen goes with him actually. So unlike Charlier a lap ago, Ken Roczen just managing to hang on in there. Herlings leads from Jake Nichols second. That's the man on screen there, in that man on front there, number 45. He's second. The man behind him, 94, is third. That's Roczen. The man then, 430, Christophe Charlier is 4th. Marvin Musquin, the defending champion and series leader, is in 5th place. Arnold Toner 6th, Frossard 7th, Verbruggen 8th, Sean Simpson down in 9th. And just looking to see here, Marvin Musquin and Christophe Charlier. So Musquin now past Charlier. So this will be good for Charlier. Maybe it's probably better for him to follow someone like Marvin Musquin, because then he can just pick up on the lines and try and just gain a little bit more experience. Running with these top guys is just great, but Jake Nichols having a great ride at the moment, just bobbing and weaving his way just to keep it nice and tight. Look how shallow that inside rut is there. He doesn't want to rush that too much, otherwise in danger of the front end just going straight through that, the back end spinning up and putting him down, but doing a great job here at the moment. If Jake Nichols can just hold this position here for another lap or 2, and certainly with staying in the top 5 or 6, then he's definitely going to be on for some good points in this second moto. But there he comes over the line, so 2 laps completed now, and Roczen goes to the inside and then closes the door on Jake Nichols, who now drops to 3rd place. Under the rebootizer bridge then, past pit lane they go, over the jump, and then Roczen there just taking a quick look over his shoulder to see where Jeffrey Herlings is, and he's 9 seconds clear, going down the straight in the opposite direction. Jake Nichols almost just the back end coming around on him there, coming out of that turn 2. But didn't cost him too much time, fortunately. He's got a little bit of a gap as well, about 2-3 seconds between himself and Marvin Musquin. So if he can just concentrate now, focus. This is the corner where he went down with Boutron in the first race. Spoke to him just before the start of the second race. He said that, yeah, it was Kulas that got the hit the gate then, went too early. Nichols got an absolute pitch-perfect start there, timed it to perfection, then just closed the gap here. He had Herlings just to the outside of him. Here we are on board with either Denny Philippaerts or Michael van Wezel, our Dutch rider. And who was that? Oh, Electru, 52, just getting caught up there, coming out of the first turn. And then it's a big tight squeeze going into that next corner. But what can you say about this guy here? Won his first career moto about 2 hours ago, and he's in the perfect position here to repeat that performance, and he's certainly going to close the gap on the championship leaders Marvin Musquin and Ken Roczen. Coming into this race, coming into this first race earlier on in the day, it was 14 points of difference between Marvin Musquin from Roczen, and Roczen was 14 points clear of Herlings in the start of the second race because of the way that things worked out in that first race. Marvin Musquin just 5 points clear of Ken Roczen going into this second moto, and Herlings just 11 points further back, so 16 points separating the first 3 riders here. So this is going to tighten things up if it stays like this right now, but obviously we've still got just under 30 minutes plus 2 to go. And that is the lead that Jeffrey Herlings has. He has the whole straightaway there. It was about 8.8 last time around. It's 9.5 now. Again, Roczen just taking a look, and Marvin Musquin is through now on Jake Nichols. So we have Red Bull KTM's in first from the Tekka Suzuki in second. Then we have Marvin Musquin there in third position. So he'll lose another couple of points to Ken Roczen if he were to stay where he is. So that gap would be down to 3 as we head to Portugal in a couple of weekends' time. And that, of course, you can see that live here, as always, May 8th and 9th that weekend. So race day is the 9th. That will be round 4 of the MX2, MX1 Motocross World Championship. The women will also be in action there as well. And Charlie up the inside of Jake Nichols now, is he? Oh, no, Jake just had a good drive around the outside. Sometimes those camera angles can catch you out. But Nichols holding the middle line through that hill. Oh, picking his front wheel up nicely over that little drop-off. But Charlier, though, gets the hard charge. Nichols squares him off, takes the front wheel, and cleans up the 430 Charlier, and leaves him in no uncertain terms that, hey, I'm here to stay. So Nichols having a great ride from Ipswich down there in 4th position. So Herlings leads then. Oh, there's Arnold Tonus, the back end just getting a little bit squirrely through that gnarly wave section. Right at the bottom of the furthest hill. Nichols being urged on by the crowd here. A lot of Brits travelled. The Welshmen have travelled out as well. Just because they're big fans of the sport, but Jake Nichols having a blinding ride here. Herlings leads, Roczen second, Musquin third, Nichols fourth. That man in black on the Monster Energy Garibaldi Yamaha, just almost losing the front end. Christophe Charlier, he's in 5th, coming under pressure from the man in yellow on the second of the Tekka Suzukis. Arnold Tonus, he's in 6th. Frossard, though, 183 in that green, on the green CLS Kawasaki in the background. He's on the a big heavy landing for him there, though. Landing in a load of soft stuff as he came off the top of that jump, and the front end just went away from him momentarily. So he is, Frossard is 7th, Simpson down in 8th place. He said he rode his own race first time out. Just kept his own pace, was good enough to get 3rd position. Looking to get on the podium overall, though, this weekend. But look how close this is now. Jake Nichols in 4th. He's got them all queuing up behind him. Tonus goes to the inside and outdoes the 430 of Christophe Charlier, who Charlier, though, gets to drive on the Suzuki. Jumps back down the straight under the Tekka bridge into the bomb hole. Who's going to have the advantage here? Well, Tonus has to go sharp. And just loses out there to Charlier on that toe. Oban, no more points on the board for Oban then. So on the Bud Rockstar Kawasaki, Nicolas Oban is not going to score any points here. He's on the podium here last year. So disappointment, further disappointment for the Frenchman. But Jake Nichols, what can you say about this guy? He's up there running with the best riders in the world in this MX2 category. His family are here, his mum, his dad, his sister, his fan club, and he was, as I said before the first race, very relaxed, very chilled, and quietly confident. And as we say, if he can stay here for another few laps, oh, Tonus almost just burying his head into the handlebars there at the bottom of that hill, just getting those waves completely wrong. But if Nichols can stay here and run another few laps like this, then that's definitely going to do it. Oh, and Frossard straight up the inside of Arnold Tonus there into that left-hander. And that was a result of Tonus just messing it up, coming through that wave section just 100 yards or so before. But these conditions certainly suiting Jake Nichols, and if he can hang in there, like we say, for another couple of laps, then that's just going to put him in good stead. Frossard, though, we know he can charge, and he's prepared to do so. And Frossard finished 4th in the first race. Takes a big leap, clears that soft patch this time around. As Charlier takes a look, and here's Charlier being passed by Jake Nichols. Nichols just using the front tyre there as extra traction, takes a look over his shoulder to make sure nobody else is coming, and that's Triest out of the final corner there. And this time the two riders, Nichols and Charlier, had to get split there by Nick Triest, and that did not work out in favour of Jake Nichols, so he loses a position now to Charlier and drops back to, well, Herlings is 12.5 seconds clear of Ken Roczen in 2nd, Marvin 3rd, Nichols is now 5th, having been passed by Charlier. And who's gone down in that turn? Is that one of our leaders? No, I thought it was. Yellow flags early on in this stage of the race. Good to see the old British flag there flying for Jake Nichols. Been a long time since we had it. Tommy Searle, of course, the last person running this high up in Grand Prix in MX2. But Frossard again at the inside, just like Charlier was. And Nichols can't repeat it because Frossard gives him nowhere to go. So losing 2 positions in the space of about a third of a lap then. Jake Nichols going from 4th down to 6th. As Frossard just buries that front end on that CLS Kawasaki, just a little bit too deep into that right-hander just before the step down. Gets a bit wayward through there. Jake hitting that, what 4th, 5th? So Herlings leads then, 12 seconds clear of Roczen. Marvin Musquin is 3rd, Nichols 4th, Charlier 4th and Frossard is 5th. And look at Frossard, just all over the back of Charlier. Both riders doubling their way through, trying to maintain that momentum in this tough sandy circuit. Not as deep as a Lierop or a Lommel, in the words of Jeffrey Herlings in one of his press conferences earlier this week. And basically alluding to the fact that anybody can ride this stuff. You know, foreigners, as in everybody else from the rest of Europe and anywhere else for that matter, can ride this stuff. It's quite hard underneath. It's not really a sand track, he said, but anyway, he's proven that even though it's not really a sand track, he has the best tools for the job. And Frossard around the outside of Charlier. So then, as Charlier crossed the line in 4th position, it lasted about 20 metres before Frossard made a move past around the outside, had the best line for the inside in the background there, as Jake Nichols now coming under pressure from the 23 of Arnold Tonis. Thought the guy had gone down there, thought Frossard had gone down in that right-hander just at turn 2. So there is Stephen Frossard then. Under the Tecker bridge he goes. He's got Christophe Charlier, 17 times a race winner last year in the European Championship, en route to that European crown, with the same team, incidentally, that he's riding for now, Monster Energy Garibaldi Yamaha. But that won't bother Frossard any. Slightly older, at 22. And Arnold Tonis seems to have regrouped as well, just made a couple of mistakes early on. Seems to have regathered himself here and regathered his composure, and looks to have his eyes set on Jake Nichols at the top of the hill. But look how far ahead Jeffrey Herlings, our race leader, is here. Over that smaller in size and distance double jump that caught out so many riders last year in MX1 and MX2. Making very, very light work at that, but just looking him bouncing his way through. He's just the corner speed, the momentum, the poise of the lad is just, you wouldn't say that this kid was 15, but you know, he said in press conferences when he took a 3rd race finish at what was it, the 2nd moto in Bulgaria, you know, it's a learning curve for him. He's trying to learn as much as he can, and then he got 2nd in the 2nd race in Mantova after leading for so long. Oh, what's being picked up there in the background by Marshall? And he said it's just, he's always willing to learn. He's learning everything from Stefan. He believes everything that Stefan Everts tells him, because Stefan Everts is a 10-time world champion, so he's learning from the best. And he's just soaking up the information like a sponge. And while he doesn't believe he's the best at the moment, he's certainly got his eyes set on trying to win a world championship, and believes that he can do that in time. But the results that he's got at the moment as well, way ahead of expectation for what he had at the start of the year. But obviously now, I guess, he's used to being up there, leading these races, taking 2nds, taking 3rds. He's had a race win now as well. So that'll just give him the confidence just to go that little bit extra step. But a lot of people actually were concerned with Herlings. Was he just maybe overconfident coming into his home Grand Prix? Because it's a sand race, and he does love the sand. It's got to be said, no question about that. You know, and there's always that danger of just being a little bit overconfident. But certainly, after probably being brought back down to earth slightly in the qualifying race yesterday, through that wave section, the other side of that golden tyre air balloon, he certainly dug deep, knuckled down, and got on with the job here. Been unfazed by the fact that he's had a lead, and he's already 13.5 seconds clear of this man here, Ken Roczen, on that Tecker Europe Suzuki. He'll close to within a couple of points, 3 points of Marvin Musquin if he stays there. And of course, if Marvin Musquin stays where he is in 3rd, but Musquin about 7 seconds behind Ken Roczen at the moment in that 3rd position, with Frossard just behind him in 4th.
Normally it's in his 2nd moto when the rider can really give it their best. Do you think he's got what it takes, Ken, to pass Jeffrey?
I I think Herlings is too fast at the moment. He was really fast yesterday, he crashed, but he was so strong in the first heat, and I think it will be really hard for Ken to catch Herlings in his own right. But second is also good. Still a long way to go.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thanks, Jens. But they're more than pleased with the way this guy's performing at the moment. If you're going to have one of the Red Bull KTMs beat you this weekend, better the guy that's in third than the guy who you're chasing down in the championship, who you've lost 14 points over the first 2 Grand Prix, first 4 motos of the year. And if you're ahead of Marvin Musquin, as Ken Roczen is, then certainly he was in the first race, with Marvin Musquin finishing 8th, that man there, to the second position of Ken Roczen, and this position now being second and third. And obviously that's going to narrow the gap right down and brings it all back almost square as we go to Portugal in a couple of weeks' time. But Marvin Musquin, certainly we found out yesterday that the kid was made of rubber, because the way that he hit the ground, for him not to be more seriously injured than he was is just amazing. But he's just got a bit of a stiff neck. But he's just definitely being given a riding lesson at the moment by his 15-year-old teammate, Jeffrey Herlings. Were we to expect that? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? But it wouldn't be the first time that a Dutchman has been good in the sand. Although, actually, over the past 34, 35 years, we've had Grand Prix here, the Belgians are the most sort of winning nation, if you know what I mean. Stefan Everts has taken 5 wins. Marnik Bavots took 3. Jolsmets took 3. De Dijk has taken a win in 2008. But in all, Belgians have won 18 times here in 34, 35 years. The French have taken 5 victories, with Sébastien Tortelli, Frédéric Bollet, and 3 times in consecutive years for Michael Pichon. And the Dutch have only ever won here twice. Dave Strybos in 125 back in 1987, riding for Kajiva, and Eric Eggens in 2001 in the 125 class again in 2001. So, young Primo there, just telling Marvin Musquin, keep cool, you're doing okay, just keep it smooth, keep it consistent. So if Jeffrey Herlings were to win here this weekend, it would be the first Dutch victory since 2001 around this circuit. So going to be a big occasion here. A lot of, well, there was a big crowd anticipated anyway, and why wouldn't there be? It's not as if Jeffrey Herlings is just like the fastest kid in Holland, having underperformed at the opening 2 rounds, and the fans have turned out thinking, oh, well, we must go and support our home riders. He's come in as 3rd overall in the championship after 2 Grand Prix, with a very real possibility of winning a world title in his rookie season. And if he were to win the Grand Prix here this weekend, well, that would just be the best thing that could happen for the Dutch fans that have travelled here this weekend. Here's the battle for 5th position. Charlier's gone through. Then we've got Nichols there in white, number 45. And it looks like Charlier just might be fading a little bit here. So there's Charlier, just gone out of shot. Then Jake Nichols, then Arnold Tonus, then Stephen Frossard, Jeremy Van Horebeek, sorry, because Frossard is in 4th place. So this is just certainly, and who's that in the background? Just behind, is that Sean Simpson? So we've got what? Charlier, Nichols, Tonus, Van Horebeek, Simpson. 5 riders going to be queuing up for that 5th position. But Tonus looking to make a move on Jake Nichols, going to have the right line coming over the Dragon's back here. Jumps short though, but he has the inside line. Is he going to do the Englishman at the inside? No. Nichols just holds himself, takes a look over his shoulder, and completes lap 10. Still ahead of the Swiss Tonus, but Tonus has a good line around here and closes the door on Jake Nichols, just like Ken Roczen did a few laps earlier. So there's Charlier then, front of the oil picture on the Garibaldi Yamaha. Then in yellow we've got Tonus. They are 5th and 6th. Nichols now in 7th, number 45 on the Red Bull HM Plant KTM. Then we've got Van Horebeek there in green. He is in 8th position. Then Simpson in the background in 9th place. So with just over 12.5 minutes plus 2 to go, this is the battle that is just enthralling everybody as Tonus almost goes down there. Front end just got too high, too deep into that hole around the bottom of turn 5 there, and almost threw him to the ground. That would have just knocked a little bit of wind out of his sails as well. And Nichols being passed by Van Horebeek at the bottom of the hill. So Nichols going back now. Loses a position. He goes to 7th. But with 12 minutes to go, temperatures in around about 23, 24 degrees as predicted. Jeffrey Herlings almost 15 seconds clear at the front of the field as Tonus now goes past Charlier. So Tonus on the charge, 2 riders in about 3 corners. And as long as he can just keep this pace, stay consistent, Tonus is looking at a possible 5th, maybe even higher up if he can close down Frossard in 4th. But Frossard already a little bit further down the track, already wait for him to come over the line. And Van Horebeek, though, he was disappointed with the first race. He went down at the first turn, but he goes up the inside of Charlier. Oh, Charlier, what happened to Charlier then? Just almost got hung up on the bumps there, or looked like he missed a gear. But certainly seemed to lose forward momentum. Oh, he's signalling as well to the team. So obviously something is going to start bothering Charlier then in the remaining 11 minutes plus 2. Can he keep his emotions under wrap here? Oh, is that Petrov? Oh, Tonkov. So the young Russian, he's all right. Might just be a little bit tired. Yeah, he's fine, he said, but actually disappointed for him because he picked up 4 points in the first race, down in 17th. That would have been his first World Championship points this year. He did score points last year in Latvia in one of the races, but was in Bulgaria, didn't ride in Mantova. But Nichols coming into the clutches now, number 11, Sean Simpson. So Simpson doing what he did in race 1 and what he said he was going to do in race 2, just ride his own pace, concentrate on what he's doing, try not to get involved in any skirmishes with anybody. And that's enabled him just to be sitting there patiently in the background, watching all the tussles going on ahead of him. Jake Nichols, Charlier, Tonus, Frossard, Van Horebeek. And in the next 10, 14 minutes or so, Sean Simpson could find himself picking off another couple of positions. And if he does, we'll see if that gets him on the podium a little later on, because Herlings certainly and Roczen certainly, they'll be on the podium. Frossard would be looking at being the 3rd man on the podium as it is at the moment, so that'll be much to the disappointment of Sean Simpson as he tries to go around Jake Nichols here, who's still working hard on that HM Plank KTM there, number 45 in blue. Number 11, Sean Simpson, switches it to the right-hand side. Left now as we look at it. He's going to try and go around Jake Nichols over the Dragon's Back through this final corner here. Looks like he's got the jump on him going into this next left-hander. Gets the momentum and leaps past Jake Nichols. So Nichols falling back another position right at the start, at the end of lap 12. So Nichols now dropping down to 9th place. But he's done what he's had to do. He's got out front. He's gone with the guys. He's had to run a pace that he's maybe not used to running, because that's the only way he's going to get used to running that kind of pace. And even with conditions as tough as they are around here, he's been able to establish himself a nice, comfortable gap over the man not chasing him, about 20 seconds back, Dennis Verbruggen. But Herlings leads, Roczen 2nd, Musquin 3rd. So Sean Simpson then, having found his way past Jake Nichols, right on the drag towards the finish line, now looks to have his eyes set on the rider ahead of him, Christophe Charlier, who's just at the bottom of the hill. Number 414 there on the Suzuki, on the Rossi Racing Suzuki, Denny Philippart just moves out of the way of Christophe Charlier as he heads up over the hill, number 430 on that Monster Energy Garibaldi Yamaha. Simpson, though, he's not done yet with 8+2 to go. And nor too, it has to be said, Jake Nichols doing a great job of hanging in there. He might have just been passed by Sean Simpson, but it's not as if Simpson's gone away from him. And nor too, really, has Van Horebeek and Arnold Tonus, although, yeah, to be fair, maybe 3-4 seconds, something like that. Might be just a little bit too much for Simpson to make up, but he's first of all got to find a way past the 4:30 of Christophe Charlier. There we see Van Horebeek and Tonus coming out of that city corner. Oban still going round, so it looked like Oban was going to pull in, but he's still out there on track somewhere. There's Marvin Musquin jumping back up onto the circuit where it meets turn 1. And he finds his way in turn 2. But as we said in the first race, after the crash that he had yesterday, this is more. Oh, and Nichols has gone down, and Verbruggen's gone through. So Nichols goes down, loses 10th place, loses that 9th place to Dennis Verbruggen on the Nestan Jam Racing KTM. So Jake Nichols will be very, very disappointed with that. And that was coming out of that far corner over by the city banner, over the back end of the circuit, that tight right-hander where he was so cautious to not lose his wheels in the rut. And this time around, though, just obviously stalls. Jeffrey Herlings continues to lead with 6 minutes. 6.5 minutes plus 2 remaining in the second MX2 race here at the Grand Prix of the Netherlands at Valkenswaard. The kid who was born down the road in Geldrop 15.5 years ago took his first ever race victory in the MX2 World Championship.
It took you a few years to win your first GP. How does it feel now that Jeffrey's so close to winning the overall at just 15 years old?
No, it's a great feeling. I mean, Jeffrey is our answer to Roczen and from Suzuki, no? And if you see him, 15 years, old boy, doing so well. I mean, it's a shame for all of us which are already 18 or 19, even young, no? But amazing, amazing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, completely right there, Heinz Kinnegadner. But Herlings, 5:40 on the clock, took his first race win earlier on in the day after coming so close in Mantova 2 weekends ago. And here he is looking like he's going to do the double this weekend, which would kind of in some ways emulate Ken Roczen when he won his first Grand Prix at Teufelstal last year in 2009 at his 5th attempt. He didn't win a moto, Roczen, he took 2 seconds, but did win the overall Grand Prix. And to win your first Grand Prix, to win it on home soil, that's just a double special moment, and there'll be big celebrations in the KTM truck a little later on, that's for sure. Of course, we've still got 5 plus 2 to go. Anything can happen in the next 3-4 laps. But Ken Roczen doing a great job himself on that Teki Europe Suzuki, although he is almost 16 seconds down. Jens Johansson on the technical side did say that Ken Roczen not really going to be interested in the challenge for Jeffrey Herlings this weekend, because Herlings yesterday proved he was so fast and is proving so fast again today. So, you know, I'm guessing they've had a good word with Ken Roczen in between. Oh, Tonus, his teammate, has gone down there. Charlier goes through. So Tonus has gone down, which means Van Horebeek's gone through. Simpson just goes through. Nichols goes through. And also Dennis Verbruggen. So it looks like Verbruggen has been passed by Jake Nichols, has he? No, that was, okay, so Jake Nichols then probably still behind Dennis Verbruggen, so that'll be disappointment for Arnold Tonus. There's Frossard on the CLS Kawasaki. He's down in 4th place as he works his way down the furthest hill. Paulin crashed there last year, Gauthier Paulin, not here this weekend, of course, from the Monster Energy Yamaha team. Broke a bone, broke the fibula in his leg a week before the first Grand Prix in Bulgaria. Was hoping that he could be here this weekend, but a visit to the doctors has shown that the bone is still not strong enough for him to put any real weight on it. And he's admitted now that that is definitely the chance of a World Championship gone this year, because coming in at the 3rd round still means that a lot could happen as far as DNFs, as far as everyone else is concerned, but that's not going to happen now. So Gauthier Paulin not here this weekend, so if you are watching at home, Gauthier, get well soon. Hopefully we'll see you at Agada in 2 weekends' time. But of course, that all yet remains to be seen. So there's Frossard. He's there in 4th, and in a moment we're going to go down and talk to his pit crew.
Do you think Steve has what it takes now just to pass Marvin and get 3rd?
Yes, it's possible that now he's on the podium, because after the 2 heats, we think that it's free. The podium is fantastic for us. In the sand is not the good track for us, but now we can see that Steven is 4 and Jeremy is 5, and Steven will be on the podium, and we are very happy for that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's not often French riders get on the podium here, although, well, certainly around here. But Pichon, a 3-time winner here, 2001, 2002, 2003. Following in the footsteps of Frédéric Bollet in 2000 and Sebastian Tortelli in 98. But Frossard, he'll just be pleased to get on the podium. And on the performance of Ken Roczen, he's got a little way to go to get on the top step of the podium in a sand race. But of course, there's still plenty of time for improvement for Steven Frossard, who has quite a good gap, 10 seconds over Jeremy Van Horebeek, his teammate, who's behind him in 5th position. Simpson is now 6th, Charlier 7th, Roulance 8th, Tonus now dropping to 9th after that fall. We didn't see him, we just saw him just picking his bike up. And there is Sean Simpson. Again, good points for him on the board. Looks like, has he passed? Yeah, he's passed Charlier. So Charlier 7th, Roulance 8th, Tonus 9th, and Jake Nichols down there, hanging on in there in 10th, 4 seconds clear of Verbruggen. So he did find a way back past Dennis Verbruggen. Harry Kulas. Now there's a kid who's been consistent this year. Harry Kulas from Finland, who before we came here was down in 10th place in the championship, jumped to 9th after Jake Nichols only picked up a point in race 1. But he's been fairly consistent, 11th, 12th, 9th, 13th and 9th. Talking to his mechanic just before the start of the second race, and he was saying that they're really pleased with the way that he's been riding Harry Kulas, because he's digging in, he's working hard, he's working more than 100%. And so they can't ask for anything more than that. So Harry Kulas, the 18-year-old from Helsinki, who finished 10th in the European MX2 Championship last year on a private KTM, didn't compete all of the series. He's proven to be a good teammate to Christophe Charlier in that Garibaldi Yamaha team. The man in the background there, just behind the number 11 here in the foreground of Sean Simpson on the Red Bull KTM. So we're going to have 3 laps to go then, as time ticks away. Herlings still leads, his gap 14 seconds over Ken Roczen, who has about 13 seconds over Marvin Musquin in 3rd. Frossard is 4th, Van Horebeek is 5th. Sean Simpson is 6th, 7th is Charlier, that man there. 8th is Joel Roulance on the Nissan GM Racing KTM. 9th is Arnold Tonus on the Tech Europe Suzuki. 10th is Jake Nichols. 11th is Harry Kulas, who we were just talking about. So good points on the board again. Another 10 points that'll be for Kulas of Finland. 12th is Dennis Verbruggen. 13th, Zach Osborne on the Bike It Cosworth Yamaha. 14th, and Sandro Lupino. 15th, Loic Larieux. Good points on the board for him again on the Ilario Ricci Yamaha. 17th will be Von Sana, 18th Peter Smitka, 19th Van Wezel, the Dutchman on a wild card who just missed out with 21st in the first race, and Mel Pocock on the second of the Bike at Cosworth Yamahas down there in 20th place. And Pocock, did he score points in the first race? Yes, he did, 16th. So that'll be a double point scoring ride for him if he were to stay there. But excuse me, is that Joel Roulance now, number 34 on that Nissan GM Racing. Oh, Musquin's made a mistake. So this is going to hand, oh, this could hand the championship lead to Ken Roczen. How long's he been down? That's again coming into that same right-hander over on the old start straight area. So how many people have passed him, if any? So this, oh, we've got to keep our eye on this end. Herlings, well, Frossard's over the line, Horebeek's over the line. So he's going to lose the championship lead here is Marvin Musquin. For the first time, he's not going to be the holder of the red plate since he took over in Catalonia last year, which was round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So Marvin Musquin, and that mistake there might prove even more costly, because once you've stalled it, and has he been down as well? It looks like that peak is... Right, is that peak just a little bit crooked on the front of his helmet? Did he just stall it? It looked more like he'd stalled it, actually. So this is going to be very, very interesting indeed. In fact, if we try and work this out, Marvin Musquin, who is there at the moment in... well, he's 5th as he came over the line, so he's lost another couple of positions. That is certainly going to play into the hands of Ken Roczen, and also Jeffrey Herlings is going to close the gap as well. That also affects possibly the podium as well overall. So there is Marvin Musquin. Excuse me. Oh, and another mistake there for the Frenchman. So at the moment then, Roczen would lead the championship by a point from Marvin Musquin, and the German will take his first ever red plate. But we're on the final lap. There is Jeffrey Herlings. He's got quite a good advantage at the moment. We're waiting for Roczen to come over the line. So we can see what that gap is. There's Herlings. Roczen 15 seconds behind him. Third was Frossard last time around. So we're waiting for Frossard to come over the line in third on that CLS Kawasaki as we continue to watch the 111 of Jeffrey Herlings. And you can hear the Dutch crowd here. It's been a long time since they've had something to cheer about, particularly around this circuit. Eric Eggins, the last winner in the 125 category in 2001. Frossard is over the line. He's 40 seconds down on this man, though, who's still lapping in 1:59's Jeffrey Herlings. Ken Roczen's backed off. He's doing 2:01. So too was Stephen Frossard. Van Horebeek over the line in fourth. Marvin Musquin was fifth last time around. Is he still there in fifth? Well, I guess he will be, because Charlier and Simpson, well, those two are going at it, aren't they? But look at the crowd here, picking his way through over the roughest part of the circuit. Absolutely no let-up through that whole wave section, created artificially in a combination now of artificial and standard natural waves that have just borne themselves down in through the ground. But what a great day this is going to be for Jeffrey Herlings, 111, 15.5 years old. Took his first win earlier on in the day. He's going to wrap it up here with a second victory in the second moto. He's going to win the Grand Prix. He's going to take 50 points, and he's going to move ever closer as well to Jeffrey Herlings, to Ken Roczen and Marvin Musquin. Over the Dragon's back then for the final time. Keeps it nice and short. Doesn't want to do anything silly. In fact, no celebrating yet either until now. And Jeffrey Herlings then is going to hit the Red Bull jump. And fist pumps again. It's a double race win for him here. It's exactly what he wanted to do. He's going to throw the bike down. He's victorious, and straight away he hugs his mechanic. And the KTM boys will be there as well as he comes over, celebrates. His father, Peter Herlings, will be on hand as well, I'm sure. A rider who finished fifth at the Grand Prix of Namur about 20 odd years ago, in Jeffrey Herlings' own words. But what a day for the 15-year-old. Jeffrey Herlings, 2 race wins. He wins the overall Grand Prix victory here. He does it on home soil. Ken Roczen takes 2 seconds and second overall. Frossard comes over the line now to take third. That to go with his fourth in race 1. And Marvin Musquin, well, he is going to be, and are there tears in those eyes of Jeffrey Herlings? There's Lisa.
Congratulations, first GP win in front of your home crowd. Doesn't get much better than this, does it?
No, it's just perfect on my home crowd. Many fans come and watch me, and it's just great. I want to thank God for giving me this chance, and my team for putting all the hard work in, and just everything was great. Thank you, Red Bull, KTM Racing. Just thank you all.
Congratulations.
Can I please say that Jeffrey Herlings, once he's got himself dusted off and cleaned off, will be joining us in the booth here during the MX1. And I think that is his father. So he'll be joining him, joining us in the booth here in the second MX1 race. Once he's got himself cleaned up, Stefan Everts giving him the congratulations. Everybody in there, the world's press, because this is quite an historic moment. Valentina just trying to get in there as well. But what a great day for Jeffrey Herlings, who wins 2 races here. His first ever victory. He wins his own Grand Prix on home soil from Ken Roczen and Stephen Frossard third. Marvin Musquin, though, he's going to have to be happy to finish off the podium this weekend after a big crash, and he's going to lose the championship lead as well. So what a turn up for the books then. Ken Roczen. Well, Herlings wins the race from Roczen, Frossard and Van Horebeek. Sorry. Yeah, sorry about that, wrong page. Herlings, Roczen, Frossard. Look at the celebrations there from Jeffrey Herlings. Van Horebeek was in 4th position. He'll be slightly pleased about that. Marvin Musquin, though, a mistake over the far side of the circuit, dropped him to 5th in the race ahead of Roulance and Simpson, just losing out to the Belgian on the final lap. Charlier was 8th. Tonus was 9th and Nichols was 10th. And overall, in the championship, it's Roczen now on 130. Marvin Musquin, 129. Herlings, this will be interesting, 122. So he's right back in the hunt himself. And then Frossard, he is 4th in the championship on 107. And Tonus is going to be 5th on 90. With Simpson on 87. And Van Horebeek on 80. Osborne dropping down to 8th on 78. Kulas 151. He will be on 61 points. And Jake Nichols, I think, no, Charlier now on 60. So as you look at the overall standings then for the Grand Prix this weekend, let's just recap the overall for the race. It was a victory for Jeffrey Herlings from Ken Roczen. Frossard was 3rd, Van Horebeek 4th, Marvin Musquin was 5th, Roulance was 6th, Sean Simpson 7th, Charlier was 8th, 9th was Tonus and 10th was Jake Nichols. Harry Kulas was 11th, Dennis Verbruggen was 12th, Zach Osborne, Alexandro Lupino, Mattis Caro on the MVRD Motorvision Racing Suzuki. He was down in 15th place ahead of Lurk, Lario, Vonsana, Smitka, Van Wezel and Nikolai Larsen. An overall Grand Prix goes to Jeffrey Herlings from Roczen from Stephen Frossard. But overall in the championship, Roczen leads from Musquin by a single point. Roczen will take his first ever World Championship plate. Herlings still 3rd, Frossard and Tonus up there as well. Harry Kulas is 9th, Charlier 10th, Nichols drops to 11th, having started the weekend in 9th. Roulance is 12th, ahead of Verbruggen, Lupino, Caro and Larsen, who's now 16th in the championship. Mel Pocock, points on the board for him. He's 19th in the championship, so he'll be pleased with that. But Nikolai Oban way down the order in about 23rd. Not having a great time of it here. And where was he in the race? Down in 32nd. So Marvin Musquin loses the red plate then. Could have been worse though. Could have been much, much worse for the Frenchman. After that crash yesterday, I know we keep going on about it, but that was almost a championship ending crash that he picked up yesterday. Very, very lucky to walk away from it. But he could have been still leading the championship just by a couple of 3 points had he not made that mistake. KTM continued to lead the way in the Constructors' Championship. Suzuki 2nd, Kawasaki, Yamaha, Honda and TM down there in 6th, just on 4 points. Kuhn, Sith, Vonsana doing the point scoring down there in the MX2 category. So then, let's get down to the podium. In 3rd overall this weekend on the CLS Kawasaki, riding number 183, Stephen Frossard. So he'll be pleased to get on the podium. Moves himself up in the championship as well. Ken Roczen on the Tech Europe Suzuki, he takes the 2nd step of the podium, but he's got a nice little smile there because he knows he's the new championship leader, albeit by a point. It doesn't matter. Very hard to come by are those red plates. Even harder to come by are Grand Prix victories, and to go and get one on your home soil and do it by winning 2 races in front of your home crowd. Jeffrey Herlings. Well, he's the Flying Dutchman, the Superman there. He's got his cape on. And quite a special moment for him. The Dutch fans here. And also Stefan Everts. Of course, Jeffrey Herlings under the tutelage, watchful eye of the 10-time former world champion. So what a great day it's been here. Hendrik van Jan Vos, the organiser for the Grand Prix here in Valkenswaard, doing the honours to Stephen Frossard. As we say, he'll be more than pleased with his overall performance here. Martin Ruiz, the organiser of the GP of Valkenswaard, hands a 2nd place trophy to Ken Roczen. And Hans Verhoef, a former organiser here, does the honours, gives the biggest trophy of all to that man there, Jeffrey Herlings. 15.5 years old. Well, we heard Heinz Kinnigadner talking about it. You know, it's crazy that Stefan Everts picks up a bit of silverware as well on behalf of KTM, winning manufacturer this weekend. But it's crazy that these kids are 15, 2 of them on the left-hand side there. And Dr. Wolfgang Strub, the president of the FIM and the CMS, hands that red plate to Ken Roczen as he is the new championship leader as we go to the next Grand Prix, round 4 at Agada on May 9th.
Dames en heren, daar wordt applaus, Steve Frossard! En dan Roczen, Jeffrey Herlings.
So Red Bull KTM then continue to dominate this MX2 World Motocross Championship, despite the fact that Ken Roczen is the new championship leader. Red Bull KTM have been victorious in all 6 motos in the opening 3 rounds so far. The first 4 races were taken by Marvin Musquin, but 2 more victories have been added today by the Dutchman on home soil, Jeffrey Herlings, as he wins the overall Grand Prix of the Netherlands. And Ken Roczen just cruises off the side of the podium there, as do the other 2 riders, Jeffrey Herlings and Stephen Frossard, as the MX1 guys get ready to go out on their sighting lap, because in about 8 minutes, 10 or 11 minutes time, the MX1 guys are going to be making their way out of that first, out of the gate down to turn 1. But here was what happened in race 2. Harry Kulas went too early and got held up on the line as Jake Nichols stormed to the inside, up the inside of Jeffrey Herlings, and took the whole shot. Dennis Verbruggen was in there as well for a short while. But Arnold Tonus was on the charge, so too though was his teammate Ken Roczen, but no one had an answer for Jeffrey Herlings at the head of the field. Christophe Charlier was having a good ride, so too Van Horebeek and Frossard, as they all found their way past Jake Nichols in the mid part of the race. And then at the end, Marvin Musquin, who was comfortably sitting in 3rd place and would still be leading the championship by 3 points, made a mistake, stalled the engine with about 2 laps to go, and that cost him the championship lead. Herlings, though, went on to win the race at the 2nd time today, won the overall Grand Prix, and he does it on home soil. And we can go down now and hopefully grab a word with him. Our overall winner, who should be down by the podium with Lisa. Well, maybe we can go down there and get that interview in a moment, but well, there's a few going to be a few strap lines, a few white bits on display after the sun here. It's been 25 odd degrees all weekend.
Jeffrey, your first GP win, and you seemed so comfortable in the lead the whole time.
Yeah, well, eventually I had a good start, you know, my Red Bull Race and KTM just got, you know, shoot over the gate, and eventually lead all the way, and won my first, my 2nd moto of the year and my first overall of the year. So thankful to God to give me the chance I could live my dream, and you know, I want to thank Red Bull KTM Racing Team for all the support they gave me, my parents, my family, just everybody around it, my mechanics, and just thank you a lot.
Thank you.
So he's going to be a very, very busy man for the rest of the afternoon. His first appointment is going to be in here in the MX1 race at some point, a little later on, hopefully, if he can find his way through the waiting press and journalists, autograph hunters and all the rest of it. But after that, if of course he does make it in here, it's just going to be a little bit crazy for the new kid on the block. 15.5 years old, took his first and second race victories of his MX2 career in only his 3rd ever Grand Prix. Wins his home Grand Prix here in the Netherlands at Valkenswaard. Probably even sweeter by the fact that he grew up just down the road. He's 3rd in the championship and only 7 points off the lead. 8 points off the lead. Roczen was 2nd overall. He's our new championship leader. He's down by the podium with Lisa.
Ken, your first red plate of your career, you're now leading the World Championship. It's a huge sense of achievement in itself, isn't it?
I don't even know where to start, you know. Both starts today were not bad, you know. I just gotta keep on working now, and I'm so happy to keep that red plate. Well, to have it first, and now I just want to keep it, and I want to say thanks to all my sponsors, to my team, to my mechanic, my parents, everyone, and this is the present for all the hard work we have done, and also thanks to Germany, danke an Deutschland, all my fans, it's unbelievable.
Thank you.
So from one 15-year-old who wins the Grand Prix to another one who currently leads the World Championship, Ken Roczen on that Teki Europe Suzuki. A big old smile there for the almost 16-year-old German, almost a veteran, now, almost with a year's experience. But you can guarantee that that's going to spur him on just a little bit more as we head to Portugal on May 9th for round 4 of the FIM MX2 World Motocross Championship. As well, if you want to follow the World Championship and get all the result updates, don't forget you can go and visit our website, motocrossmx1.com. All kinds of information on there as well, where the venues are. But Ken Roczen is the new championship leader. Frossard should be down with Lisa by the podium. He finished 3rd overall today with a 4th and a 3rd.
Stephen, congratulations. You seem to get a little bit of luck from Marvin with his crash in that second moto, but the luck only comes to the brave, doesn't it, really?
Yeah, for sure. I take a good start, and after I come back 3, and Marvin make a mistake on some corner, and I pass. So I'm not lucky. I work very hard in the winter, and I finish on the podium. It's very good for me, and it's the first time for me.
Congratulations.
Yeah, there's nothing lucky about the performance from the 183 CLS Kawasaki rider there, Stephen Frossard. Had a long, tough, hard winter, particularly training up in the sand tracks in Belgium and Holland with Kees van der Ven, former Sandmaster, former Grand Prix winner as well. And all that hard work has paid off. We've got another Grand Prix in the sand in Lommel later on in the year, and also in Lierop back towards the end of the year in September. Can he repeat the performance here, get on the podium again, or will he be able to go 1 or 2 positions better when we hit the deep sand of Lierop and the sand of Lommel on August the 1st? Well, he's certainly going to be trying his hardest to try and make that happen. But the crowd here so far who've witnessed a very historic occasion here at this Euro Circuit in Valkenswaard. Jeffrey Herlings becomes one of the youngest ever winners of a Grand Prix, one of the youngest race winners as well. He won 2 of them this weekend. He's the first Dutchman to win on home soil on this particular circuit, Valkenswaard, since 2001. That, of course, being Eric Eggins in the 125 category back then on a KTM. And Jeffrey Herlings just getting himself in the record books. Well, that's it for now. We'll be back in a moment with the final race of the day, the second MX1 race. Join us in a minute. Bye for now.